Alright folks, welcome back, and it is now time for the next case. Still working on case 48 though, but by the time I post this case would already be done. Last time it was Unsafe Haven, the Machiavellian Candidate. I'm Pastor Billy Holland Jr. of the Apostolic Truth Church. Join us every Sunday morning for the Kingdom of God Crusade. We'll share our song and music with the church band and choir along with the Spirit-filled and Spirit-directed sermon. We hope you'll. Well, Matthew, here we are in Ivory Hill. Are you ready for the gleaming marble and political machinations? It's bound to be different from Grim Chapel, where we encounter supernatural scares and unravel the mystery of the Gryphon Sanctuary Asylum. Chiefly, we learn that numerous Rochester political enemies ended up wrongfully committed there. We can't fully prove that the Rochesters paid to commit people to the asylum, but it's clearly no coincidence. We must uncover what political ambitions made that family take such drastic measures to silence their opponents. And there's no time to lose, Senior Trooper Matthew. There's an awards luncheon at the City Hall banquet room, and Senator Malcolm Rochester is the guest of honor.
Let's all pledge to take that first small step together and change the world in a big way.
You've already met the members of his immediate family. The senator is married to Veronica Rochester, and Archie Rochester is his son. If the father is as charming as the son, he's sure to be a piece of work. Indeed. Despite being the newly minted deputy mayor, I wasn't invited to the luncheon, but surely something about the Rochester's political plans can be uncovered there. Excellent! Then Senior Trooper Matthew and I will nip over to that luncheon and see for ourselves. Last time Viola was a suspect, but she was cleared from the start. That's going to be returning on Friday, so we have another big swell, maybe bigger depending on the exact angle on that next swell. This one actually came in much bigger than we were expecting, so we'll keep an eye on this next swell. 12 to 18 footers expected for tomorrow on the north coast, but that's still going to be big. Still dangerous, and let's just take some caution out there. And head over to the north shore. West shore is coming in 8 to 12. You can already see the stiff. Advisories in effect, and high surf advisory in effect at least until daybreak, and that might be extended. Maybe 15 feet on the north shore is advisory level. So we'll keep an eye on that. We're also watching this storm system. 2 hours. This is our next swell. On Friday. Actually, late tomorrow, we'll start to see some impact. Taking a paper. 3 seconds. Friday, when we're peaking at this potential. We'll take you out to the Big Island. Gorgeous sunsets from the Kona side, and we'll take you to the Hilo side. This is Rainbow Falls there. Beautiful shot. Donna, thanks for sending that picture next to pics at KITV.com. My word! There's been a murder at the luncheon! A slight blue tint to the skin, bulging eyes, foam at the mouth. She has all the classic signs of poisoning. So we know that poison killed this poor girl, but who did it and why? My word! Is that Lissa? Sir, you knew this young woman? Yes, she was called Lissa Avery. She was my assistant. It's Malcolm Rochester. My apologies, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Senator Malcolm Rochester. I am the guest of honor at this luncheon. Well, Senator Rochester, the luncheon is now officially over, and we shall need to speak with you in a moment. Matthew, whoever killed Miss Avery must have attended this event. There's bound to be clues. You're right. Maybe this torn paper will help us. Matthew, we came here to look into the Rochester's political ambitions and stumbled upon the poisoning of Senator Rochester's aide. I smell a rat.
Okay.
Alarm clock in apartment named the residents in Hawaii arrested to conserve water until 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay, before we go to break, I am going to actually talk to Mr. Rochester right now. I cannot believe that Lissa is dead. She was the best assistant I ever had. And she was helping you today here at the luncheon as well? Yes, this luncheon was to honor the achievements of prominent Concordians. Lissa helped organize my presence here. Do you know who among the guests would have wanted her dead? Not at all. I hope to help you in any way possible, Senior Trooper Matthew. The monster who cut her innocent life short must be caught. She was working with me in my townhouse a lot recently. Please feel free to continue your investigation there if you think it will help. Thank you for your help, Senator. Senior Trooper Matthew and I shall certainly make your townhouse our next port of call.
That's Ford, and that's how you become America's best-selling brand. Buy now and choose 0 APR for 72 months plus $1,000 cash, or get $5,000 total cash in a new Ford Fusion. See your Hawaii Ford dealer today.
Introducing Fast Food's first ever ribeye burger. Make a 100% ribeye beef, first breakfast provolone cheese on potato bun. I'm inviting the whole industry to try it. It's all protect their communities like this. Try my first ever ribeye burger.
Okay, at this point, since I am so close to leveling up, I will not mind if I update via my computer. Although I have been trying to update or not update, but upgrade my levels from my tablet since the full recovery is 110. I guess in the long run it really doesn't matter.
The anticipation has been intense for this historic moment when Little Joe, Lex Brody's legendary brand ambassador, and car care specialist Steve Madden.
Hello, I'm Little Joe, Lex Brody's brand ambassador. I've been clinking my hammer for over 55 years, and I'm proud to say doing business the Aloha way is heard around the world when Lex Brody's was named the top shop in North America. We understand that these people are
Oh, and I still got the first star. Am I good or what?
First ever ribeye burger, made with 100% ribeye beef, fresh spring mix, and provolone cheese on an artisan potato bun. Yeah, nailed it. Come try my new ribeye.
The senator's townhouse sure is lavish. Look at all this finery. But you're right, Matthew. We're not here to admire the senator's interior design tastes. We're here for clues, and you found some. That leather bag has the victim's initials embossed on it. We should definitely have a look inside. And this notebook, which has her name on it, is lost. Surely you can make quick work of it, Matthew.
He died yesterday, the age of 89. Known for pounding the piano. His easy baritone voice.
First I'm going to do the...
Alright, this next one's just the sight of a python might send shivers down your spine. But what would you do if you found one on the bus?
Okay.
Public transportation.
7. The torn paper you collected was many, Matthew. There appears to have listed the dining options for the luncheon. But I'm sure a skull and crossbones were not a la carte. And this message reads, never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. Rest in peace, Lissa. Rest in peace? This must be a threat from the killer, and poison is assuredly a deceptive way to kill someone. Perhaps Emmy could tell us more about this threat. And that will tell us more about the killer. There we go, 439.
People may have been a little bit frightened, but they knew enough that, this is a domesticated animal. It's an animal that needed help.
Ball pythons typically grow to be 2 to 3 feet and can live up to 30 years with proper care.
They are super mellow naturally, so they're not fast. They kind of like to hang out in little balls. But other than that, they're just super sweet.
In Burlingame, Chris Wynn, ABC 7 News.
This is 3 hours. I'll see you guys when I finish everything up. So, hold tight. Okay, I got myself 8 stars. Let's examine the victim's bag right now. A photo. You found a photo in the victim's bag. Who could that man be? Looks like we need to take a trip back to the airship and look up this gentleman in the archives, Matthew.
What's her name? Mira. She went to the hospital and had away.
Of course, as mentioned, this is case 49.
I just had a friend who passed away again. When I decided to terminate his life, he took me for advice. I worked with the guy and I was I told him don't expect any help from the street rescue.
Oh, I just got the 9 in time and it's Samson Drake. The man in that photo appears to be a certain Samson Drake. Apparently, he's a lobbyist representing the education sector. Lobbyists are those people hired to influence lawmakers, like senators, on various policy issues, aren't they? So Senator Rochester's assistant had a photo of this lobbyist, Samson Drake, in her bag. We better go have a word with him.
You're not gonna trick me like they did my father. Those guys committed
Let's see
suicide.
what he has to say.
There are videos to prove it.
Mr. Drake, we found a photograph of you in Lisa Avery's personal effects. Did you know her well? I've met her professionally, and I may or may not have handed her a promotional photo of myself so she'd remember me. You know how it is in politics. Wait a minute. You asked if I knew her well? Has something happened to Miss Avery? Yes, Mr. Drake. Lisa Avery was murdered at the Senator's Awards luncheon today. Lisa was murdered? But I saw her there. She was very much alive. I had to leave the luncheon early to get to another appointment. Who knew that such a tragedy would take place in my absence? Miss Avery was refreshingly sincere for a person in politics. I only hope it didn't cost her her life.
We're keeping the truth about my disease from the but now.
And now the victim's notebook.
I got a really bad cold. And now I have an ALS. Blueberries disease. It's a slow.
Here's 5-1. Oh no. 6QX.
Everyone helped me.
Tau. TAO. The victim's notebook appears to have a list of errands for her to run. For Veronica Rochester. We know that Veronica Rochester is Senator Rochester's wife, and she's the mother of their son, Archie. And we met Mrs. Rochester back during the gang wars. Her alcohol business was affected by prohibition. But I thought that Miss Avery was just the assistant to Senator Rochester. What was she doing picking up Eau de Narcisse for his wife? We better speak with Veronica Rochester and find out more.
Suicide, thinking he had through Garrett's. I suggest we get the ME to sort this out.
Alright, let's see what she has to say. Mrs. Rochester, we're investigating the murder of your husband's assistant, Lissa Avery. I cannot believe it. I was just at the luncheon and I never saw a thing. Who would want to hurt that poor girl? Lissa was more than Malcolm's assistant. She was a help to the whole family. Yes, we noticed that. She even dropped off your son's. We noticed that she even dropped off your son's dry cleaning and shopped for you. Lissa went above and beyond, unlike some of my husband's other assistants. I don't know what we'll do without her. I suppose I shall have to do my own shopping until my husband finds a replacement. And that'll do. I'll see you guys when these two are finished. Thank you. Okay, folks, I'm back now. Let's get the results of the autopsy. Well, Matthew, you were spot on about the poison, and I could tell you it was put in the victim's drink. The only thing in her stomach, apart from the poison, was some fancy French wine. How could you tell it was fancy French wine? Don't tell us you tasted it. Oh no, of course not. I could tell by the grapes, by the type of grapes used to make the wine. What's interesting is the poison and where it came from. You see, it was cyanide, but more precisely, the type prescribed to patients with diabetes. Is curing diabetes with cyanide another one of those modern medical things? I suppose one man's poison really is another man's cure. Well, the victims did not have diabetes, so clearly the killer used their own medication to create the deadly dose. So the killer has diabetes. This is a start to catching them.
Swept up the abstract. Find any identified source? Based on toxicity and granular size, it's military grade.
So it came from the lab.
Had to. Any way to find out where? Possibly. Researchers work with level 3 biohazards, tactics,
and the luncheon menu. Oh, Matthew, you have a sneaky killer to look for. Well, clearly killers who use poison aren't the most open about their feelings. Are you saying this because of the threat the killer wrote on the victim's menu? Absolutely. The quote, "Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception," comes from Machiavelli's book called The Prince. It's a 16th century Italian treatise on political philosophy, and it proposes the notion that the end justifies the immoral means. Judging by their threat and their actions, the poisoners certainly embraced Machiavellian philosophy. Well, that's not on. The killer can read all the Machiavelli they like, but once they start acting on it, it's up to us to stop them. Well, Matthew, we came to Ivory Hill to investigate the Rochesters' political dealings. But we ended up investigating the murder of Senator Rochester's assistant. So far, we're no closer to finding who poisoned Lissa Avery, but the killer must have attended the awards luncheon at City Hall. The senator, who was the guest of honor at the event, comes across as surprisingly decent, but we mustn't be fooled. After all, we know he profited from the Rochesters forcibly committing their political opponents to the insane asylum. Even that lobbyist, Samson Drake, pointed out that politics is cutthroat and that Lissa seemed nicer than most, so it could be... Matthew, sorry to trouble you, but there's a woman raving in the park. That's unfortunate, Constable Ramirez, but I don't see how it's relevant to our investigation. Well, this woman claims to be your victim's mother. Hello.
All appropriate steps are being taken to locate as we can.
Those girls have been through hell. They need therapy and continuity with people that they know and trust.
And I'll see you guys for Chapter 3. Or Chapter 2, I should say. Thank you all for watching. Just had a sip of some Gatorade. Welcome back, folks. Let's start Chapter 2 with the Machiavellian candidate.
It's a nuanced process. And if that doesn't work, deep fry it until it tastes delicious. Obvious, we have the meat. This is what happened to your wife who tries bad drugs. She wanted nothing but weapons.
Okay.
Yoga, hot yoga, we're one pair of sweatpants. Yes.
Get 2 pairs for just $24 only at athletics.com.
Last left off on Ramirez saying that it was the victim's mother. What? We must go speak with her immediately, Matthew. Let's go find her. Oh, my darling daughter, my Lissa.
Did you take all the tequila lime sauce?
Ma'am, I know this is difficult, but please calm yourself.
You can't. You're an old El Paso stand-in step talker. You're a stand-in step talker.
You want me to calm down when my only daughter was taken from me?
If you got bad breath in your mouth lacks moisture,
Please, we need your help. Now breathe. Concentrate. What is your name?
It's the only leading brand. What a thinker.
My name is Gertrude Avery. Well then, Mrs. Avery, let's sit and have a quiet chat about your daughter.
Full rack at 2 sides. Get it here or get it to go.
Discover Starbucks Cafe Latte K-Cup Pods. Delicious Starbucks coffee meets our classic caramel flavor for the only Starbucks K-Cup Latte you can make at home. Look for them when you buy groceries. Introducing the all-new delivery Metro Pizza. Thanks to the new layers of airline insulation, your pizza arrives on time. It's like having our oven right in your kitchen. No flavors. Try it for the best.
So, Mrs. Avery, what can you tell us about Lissa?
Something big is happening.
She was a sweet girl. She could never hurt anyone.
Like this Playboy.
Lissa couldn't even read The Prince by Machiavelli for her political philosophy term paper. The book was too mean, she said. I had to read it and give her notes. Can you think of anyone who might have wanted to harm her? Ivory Hill is full of political schemers. She invited me along to the awards luncheon today, and I saw them, all sharks looking for blood. Lissa wasn't like the other people here. Her favorite thing to do was to come to this park, feed the birds, talk to the old people. She does sound very kind, Mrs. Avery, and if you say she likes spending time at this park, Senior Trooper Matthew and I shall take a look around to see what we can find.
Matters to us. That's who we are. Spectrum. Redefining what a cable company can do.
Make no mistake about it. This is a war between the people of this country and traumas.
Okay. Let's examine the part.
What are you thinking?
Nice picture.
Why'd you give it to him?
Who says I did?
Don't play games with me. He's in there right now. They know somebody's fucking that phone.
A lot of people had caps in part, but the Jefferson group got my
Okay. 4.
You think that's gonna fly?
Those girls
4 instant magnifiers.
everything, but they still trusted us to make things right.
I never want to trust my So you've been ordered to comply with the feds?
You and everyone under your command obey it.
You won't have a command anymore.
Chief.
Hold on a minute.
Broken plate. And just gotta find the trash can. Boom, there we are. Pretty sure that's gonna get me the first star.
But I'm told to stand down with interests of national security. When I question me, I don't want to mind your question, so. You leap to this thing, your job, your pension, and your freedom.
What is this broken plate doing in a park, Matthew? If we piece it back together, we'll know for certain. And yes, it's always worth looking through the trash. Killers do have a tendency to think we won't have a dig through it.
How?
Yes, just called.
Okay.
This meeting, which is with the feds. Turn the rules. You lost your mind.
Those girls are safe. But what about the rest of the city? There's anthrax out there somewhere. They can't find her.
You don't think the feds questioned her all night long?
She's traumatized. They're kidnapped. After watching her mom die. We know how to talk to her.
Perfect. 9. Wine bottle. Matthew, that's a bottle of Chateau de Funes, one of the finest French wines. So why is it in the trash if it isn't even empty? You're right. Dick said that the cyanide that killed Lissa Avery was mixed into fine French wine. Could this be the bottle in question? We must get this bottle to Viola at once.
Fairy dust was in the book.
This is 12 hours. We still got one more to go. The broken plate.
You know what, Nicky? I want to call the guy. He just bought it. Not such a bad thing for us, though.
There we go.
Don't worry, I made all the calls from the payphone.
Find out.
That broken porcelain was a commemorative plate from the awards luncheon, and the running thanks Mayor Castletown for attending. So Mayor Castletown was at the luncheon. We'd better ask him if he recalls anything about the victim.
Mrs. Barker found us.
Thank you so much for taking such good care.
She said,
She's working there. What's going on?
Mayor Castletown, we have a few questions about a certain Lissa Avery. Lissa Avery. Lissa Avery. Sorry, the name doesn't ring a bell. You may have seen her at the awards luncheon you attended today in honor of Senator Rochester. Oh my, was she the senator's assistant, running around in a panic all over the banquet hall? Was she in a panic? That's interesting, given that someone poisoned her. She was murdered? Poor thing. Sorry I couldn't be of more help, but I wish you luck in your investigation.
Well, Chivago does exactly that for me, saving me lots of time and money. Hotel?
I'll let the wine bottle run its course. See you later. Okay, folks, you've returned. Let's get the results of the wine bottle. Good to have Viola back. Ah, Matthew, you're already here. Not to worry, I was just leaving. Thank you for showing me around your lab, Viola. Yes, lovely to see you, Father. Viola? What on earth is Horatio Rochester doing on the airship? We're investigating the Rochesters. Nothing. Father simply wanted to see my workplace. Not everything is about crime, you know. I'm not so sure about that. Anyway, what about that bottle of wine we sent you? Was it thrown away in the park by the killer? The wine bottle you found at the park is indeed the bottle that was poisoned, Matthew. I found traces of cyanide salts inside, but I also found traces of lobster thermidor inside the rim. Lobster is eaten with the hands, so the killer must have stained the bottle with their recent meal when putting poison inside. So we know the killer eats lobster. Now we know more about the killer. It'd be good to learn more about the victim too. Capital idea, Matthew. We should take another look around her place of work.
Ian Tate wasn't raped, it's just a lame attempt at a big thing.
He came home to me, so I killed him.
Defense rarely works. The trial judge from Machiavellian didn't even allow that theory to be presented.
But in New York, it only falls under extreme emotional distress.
And juries still don't know.
And why are you so worried? Because you know this isn't about the letter of the law. It's not fair. Prejudices. If even one juror thinks that gays are predators,
Okay.
conviction not found a manslaughter. The Supreme Court may have passed gay rights in that text. They also decided that
That's what I'm supposed to do, though.
they could choose sides of things. Through the defendant himself, you can't lose your mind over a homosexual.
I bet this cake is a clue.
The tricky part is not talking about politics. They won't make this about straight versus
Yep.
You make it about murder.
Ian Tate was a loner. The only person he talks to on a regular basis is his father. He's got no friends at school, none of his children. And what about financials? Tap him a gay bar, magazine subscription.
Oh.
Probably didn't want to leave a big trail that could out it.
Was there anyone else?
I wouldn't be surprised if James Reed is the only person Ian ever dated.
Hey guys, wait. I got a good reason for bad news.
What is it?
My guess is Exhibit A defense the night of January. $2 issued before he was assault. That's the 60 mil.
His name
Let's
is
see.
Ian Tate. Checked in at 11:05 that night. 14cm lap.
Oh.
Minor contusions to his torso.
Didn't get the first star. Oh well, but I still got 18.
Thursday night at the knife and gun club detective. He was slain.
Matthew, look at this cake. Someone wrote, "Hope you choke, Lissa," on it. Who would do such a thing?
61 says
You're right. Maybe a sample of that yellow-green stain on it will tell us who left that aggressive offering to the victim. And this seems to be a piece of the victim's stationery. That's not so strange in a place where she worked. There's a message. It reads, NB, refuse access to, and some code. NB means nota bene. It's a reminder the victim wrote to herself. But to whom does she want to refuse access, and for what reason? Let us crack the code to find out.
When you chip away all the plaster used to fix it, you find the perimeter of the initial damage.
Hopefully.
I'll take your head and bash it through the wall. My hand is going to go through his back. So now pull my hand out. That's the thing you get. If it's not Ian Tate, DNA came back mentioned on his right chromosome. There's a close man there.
Listen.
Through everything out.
But I think I can do better than that.
9, 1, 9, 1, 9.
Yeah, I felt that. Have you done about it on Street of your house?
15159.
That night?
Okay. One, five,
It doesn't
nine,
matter. I think your plan is
7,
exactly what
1.
matters.
Did it.
Isn't going to help. I did it.
Here's hoping that Evie will be able to make sense of these numbers. We must know to whom the victim wanted to restrict access and for what reason.
If your client wants to avoid accessory charges, just sit down now.
The
12 hours, so I'll get the results tonight.
James and I were going through it.
Cake now. Personally, I'm hoping that isn't. Personally, I hope that's not semen on the cake. But we'll see.
Now he's gone. You don't realize, James.
There it is. Perhaps putting the substance from the cake under the microscope will tell us who left that aggressive message for the victim, Matthew.
Yeah, okay. He wasn't himself. She was fine. What the hell? This is complete delivery. Everything doctor said. Natural. So you're the top.
Roger, take care of the rest of the murder of James Reed. Your life is inside everything you say. Kids need to come back.
Oh, there's no way I'm gonna get 9 here.
You know, there are people with high self-esteem that criminals and
See?
what are you gonna do with Jay?
Nope, it's perfume. Eau de Narcisse. The liquid spilled onto the cake with the aggressive message for the victim was a perfume called Eau de Narcisse. Sounds familiar. You're right. Veronica Rochester asked Lissa Avery to specifically pick up some of that hard-to-find perfume for her. We know she wears it. So Veronica Rochester wanted Lissa to choke on this cake. We must speak with her about this at once.
And that's why I work the way I work. That works for me.
Check out more Johnston weekdays 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on USA.
Mrs. Rochester, we found evidence that all was not rosy. All was not roses between you and Lissa Avery. You wrote that you hoped she choked on a cake. I should have known you'd find that, Senior Trooper Matthew. You know, Machiavelli said everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are.
Everybody knows Bush's has a secret family recipe for baked beans.
In Lissa's case, I saw straight through her appearances and experienced a social climber. She was only using my family and our name to gain more attention for herself, that little snake. And how could that be reason to wish her serious harm? Of course, I didn't hope she'd choke. I just wanted to put her in her place, to show that I was onto her. You'll excuse us if we have some trouble swallowing that. Maybe you went out of your way to make your wishes for Lissa come true.
Lower the cradle to the floor and slide your foot in. It's that easy. Lift the socks up for you.
Surprised that the perfume wasn't a clue. But in the meantime, I'll get the rest of the stars, and I'll see you guys then. For now, this is Matthew. Alright, I'm under unlimited energy happy hour, so let's go ahead and speed this up. Well, ring-a-ding-ding, Matthew. The numbers on the victim's stationery correspond to something that rang a bell. I can see you're trying to make a joke here, Evie, but I don't get it. The number the victim wanted to refuse access to belongs to a telephone connection recently issued by the Concordia Telephone Company. The connection in question puts a person in contact with Samson Drake. Samson Drake, the lobbyist? Did the victim want to block his calls? Mr. Drake had better explain this.
The day after chemo, Mike made a trip back to the doctor's office with Neulasta Onpro.
Strong chemo can put you at risk of serious infection, which could lead to hospitalizations. In a key study, Neulasta reduced
Let's see what he has to say.
a 94% decrease.
Mr. Drake, you told us that you had a good relationship with the victim, but we've since learned that she was blocking telephone calls from you. Oh dear, that is rather compromising material. We used to get along just fine, but then Lissa started placing herself between me and the senator. I was starting to feel most unwelcome. She must have felt threatened by how well Senator Rochester and I got on. I mean, he and I have a lot in common. For instance, we both have diabetes. Lissa felt her influence lessening, so she made a move against me and tried to block my access to him. But earlier you said that she wouldn't have engaged in that type of political machination. Once upon a time when she started out, but then Lissa grew teeth and became as heartless as the rest. As Machiavelli said, whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct at the times, and boy did she change. Well, you had better hope Senior Trooper Matthew doesn't discover that you changed your conduct to kill.
Everything I could possibly need for my pets and amazing dresses. There's no reason for me to shop anywhere else. 20% under.
Don't think it's a senator.
Free shipping. Shop online at Chewy.com.
Okay? Well, Matthew, appearances are surely deceptive in this investigation. And the poison victim, Senator Rochester's assistant, may not have been the innocent as she first appeared to be. Samson Drake is angry at her for playing political games and blocking his access to the senator. And Veronica Rochester is convinced that Lissa Avery was a social climber and wished her ill for it. Oh, Matthew, the most horrible thing has happened. Has someone else been murdered? Did someone else get hurt? Yes! Rasputin is dying! Uh-oh. That doesn't bode well for Rose. Ow. We'll start Chapter 3 after this. Okay, folks, we'll start Chapter 3 of The Machiavellian Candidate.
Hospital confirmed Sarah was assaulted or near low bruising trauma consistent about that.
Left off with finding out from Rose that Rasputin was dying.
2 years, she doesn't want
Rasputin is dying. He has been poisoned. What? How could this have happened? He wandered into the evidence locker and had some of the poisoned wine. You're right, Matthew. Let's take Rasputin to Dick at once. I'm sure that he'll have an antidote.
Sarah was charged GHB and her nearly understood the DNA.
Yes, last time they used their contact, it's him.
Matthew, Rasputin is in a bad way, but you brought him to me just in time.
Every loss can be retroactive.
To counter the effects of the poisoning, I will need to inject him with a mixture of sodium nitrite and sodium thiosulfate. Just save him, Dick!
He's still out there.
Okay, here goes. That should do it. Will he survive, Dick? Will my little Rasputin live?
So how do you two know?
Don't worry, Rose. Look, Rasputin's already woken up. He's going to be just fine.
Nice place you got.
I just have
Oh, thank you for saving him, Dick. And you, Matthew, for having brought him here.
Guys went out
with Sarah Friday night? Yeah.
What a relief, Rose. I'm very happy for you. But now we must return to solving Lisa Avery's murder. Let's hurry back to the crime scene.
Hopefully not that you. Did you see Sarah with any guys that night? No, it was just the three of us.
Recognize any of these guys from the bar?
Personally, I was hoping that Rasputin would not pass away.
Like 11, we gave her the watch and then,
I remember
Watch.
so many years ago when my sister lost her mouse.
What was the part?
you never know, that's the thing. It's last weekend, there was
We meet a guy on the corner and
give him a pocket watch that you got from someone who went to last weekend's party.
and you gave Sarah one, you have another one?
Yeah.
Because I see a clue in the corner. Broken award. Okay.
Yeah.
Birth certificate.
Has Sarah been to any of these parties before?
Yeah, most things are
2 seconds.
ask me detectives. Sarah was attacked.
Oh my God.
Is it okay to call her now?
You mean call her back? Sure.
We're gonna need to keep this watch.
Just like last time. You have to get better practice.
Matthew, this appears to be the victim's birth certificate. Why don't you take it with her to this luncheon? I suppose she might have needed it for work. You're right. A clue is a clue. The certificate appears rather faded. So let's give it a good dusting. And I agree. We should unlock that box and put those broken pieces together. I hope these give us good leads. We're getting closer to catching Lisa Avery's poisonous killer. I can feel it.
It's not his MO. But when Wedmore assaulted you, he used a gun, no drugs, and he was crazy. This was a different kind of predator.
So, I'm gonna get some stars. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm gonna just go ahead and do everything now.
We call it re-victimization. It happens more than you think. It's not twice in 2 years, but it happens. Sarah is not predators. They have the sixth sense. They run all around.
No, it's just this
One energy is all I'm gonna get because this thing will not speed up. There we go. Matthew, according to this birth certificate, the victim's father is a Frederick Avery, and a Theophane Avery is listed as her mother. Theophane Avery is listed as her mother. Wait a second, you're right. We've already met the woman calling herself the victim's mother, and her name wasn't Theophane. So unless this Theophane changed her name to Gertrude, the woman we met earlier is not the biological mother of the victim. We better go speak with Gertrude Avery and get the story cleared up.
Season 12, Tuesday, 8/7 Central, Ion Television.
Gertrude Avery, you have some explaining to do. You told us that you were Lisa Avery's mother, but we found out that it's not true. Well, very well. I'm not her blood mother, I married her father after his first wife died, but that doesn't mean I didn't love Lissa. Usually the relationship between a child and stepmother is a little more rocky. I'll admit we didn't start out the best of friends, but Lissa and I became very close after her father died. All we had was each other. We learned so much about each other after he passed. For instance, I loved lobster and I eat it every chance I get, while she had an allergy to seafood. Somebody just messaged me, but I'll take care of that later. Lissa was all I had left of her father, and now I'll never see her again. Okay. Here we go. There we go. HP2. Y3K. 9TS. Matthew, there was a film reel in that box, and the victim's name is written on the canister. We better rush this film reel over to Charlie so that he can have a look at it.
Join your screens, or you could just put your phones down and talk to each other. Nature's got you routine blue because you're better off.
This is 9 hours.
Understory. Now she's realizing that she was assaulted by the state of affirming the victim as a second time. You understand?
Either way, she still can't.
Look, I'm not gonna drop the case. I mean, worse than change being a rapist to laughing.
Then you lock track in this underground party.
You know, the corner was she met a guy that Sunday night.
And so what?
That's 8. Much better than the 1 I got earlier. Matthew, the broken pieces you found are part of an award for Lissa Avery. It seems to be for Best Secretary in Concordia. And it was the mayor who gave her the award, but he told us that he didn't know who she was. It seems the mayor wasn't truthful with us. It's time to get the story straight.
It'll be just fine.
Hey, I just came back home.
That depends a good deal on where you want to get to.
I didn't tell you that there's no.
Okay, as you can see, I did get some more stars before beginning recording again. Mayor Castletown, you claim not to know Lissa Avery, but you gave her an award. Oh no, you found that. It was most embarrassing. You see, Miss Avery had been hounding me for a while. She had no concept that even a public official needs to have some personal time. Lissa wanted a prestigious award so badly that she even followed me out to my favorite fishing hole. Can you believe it? I gave in. We had the award made. I handed it to her, and she threw it at my feet. Some shards ruined my lobster thermidor, and I am quite sure that Samson Drake got some bits of award in his lobster too. Why on earth did she turn down an award she had so coveted? Well, Lissa wasn't happy with what it said. She wanted to be named Outstanding Concordian of the Year, not Best Secretary. But who does she think she was, anyway? Disturbing the life of a public official, then scorning the favor she received? No wonder she ended up dead.
No, I offered.
Okay.
I didn't want her to walk up alone. She said no. What time was all this? It was after 1. You go anywhere after that?
And I'll let the film reel run its course. See you all when that's done. Alright folks, you've returned. Let's get the results of the film reel. Wow, Matthew, that was a doozy of a film reel you sent me. Oh my, is there something compromising about our victim?
I find an accused rapist.
Goodness gracious, Maddie, nothing like that. Here, I'll play the film for you.
Sadler is a member of the bar of understanding. She's the co-counsel of record, and she's protected by the Constitution to run her own defense. This is an intimidation tactic.
My friends, I suppose you're all wondering why I called you here today, but I have a matter of the utmost concern for our fair city. Every single day, the needs of the most cuddly among us go unheeded. Corgis throughout Concordia are suffering, and we must rise to... Wait, this is wrong! What is this nonsense? This isn't the speech I should be giving. Lisa, I'll throttle you! Uh-oh.
I can clearly prove that this man is more than protecting himself.
Did the senator say he would throttle the victim? There could be no mistaking it. He was clearly furious with her about that ill-prepared speech. Then we had better speak with Senator Rochester and get a better picture of how he really felt about Lisa Avery.
Civil suit.
Objection! Arbitrary. I needed information.
Yes or no?
That's not how it was.
Your Honor, please order the witness to answer.
Sir, you have to answer the question for the record.
Senator Rochester, you said earlier that Lisa Avery was the best assistant you ever had, but we have reason to believe you really feel otherwise. Nonsense! Whatever could you mean? We have seen the film reel, Senator. Your speech about corgis. Blast! She was supposed to get rid of that film reel. I want to know evidence of it. That dull-witted idiot handed me the wrong speech. I was a laughingstock. I was as red as the lobster I'd eaten. I felt a fool, and I was. As Machiavelli said, the first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the people he has surrounded. If I kept Lisa around much longer, everyone would have thought I was as much of an idiot as she was. I was going to get rid of her. Well, I hope for your sake that you only intended to dismiss Lisa Avery and not kill her for humiliating you. Well, Rochester's in the running. Well, Matthew, our tour of the crime scene got us a little closer to Lisa Avery's poisoner, but not close enough to catch them. We finally saw Senator Malcolm Rochester's darker side. He was livid with the victim for humiliating him, but livid enough to kill her? Meanwhile, Mayor Castletown claims he was nearly driven mad by the victim's ambitions. How can we untangle the truth from the lies, Matthew? You're right. We know the killer left evidence in the park. Maybe there are more clues there. Let's go.
Ruptured spleen, sometimes fatal as well as serious lung problems, allergic reactions, kidney injuries, and capillary leak.
The most exciting thing to happen to turkeys since the invention of the turkey baster are these.
Wasn't loading, so I might as well just continue on. Try go for the first star. See if I can get it.
There's no reason for me to shop anywhere else. And get free shipping. Shop online at Chewy.com.
Constantly on the go. HelloFresh has come to our rescue with the ability to go online and have something in the next week. It's trust-free.
Go to HelloFresh.com and use code TV30 to save $30 off your first box.
Small cyanide box. Ooh.
Daily laundry service.
Rabbit.
A place where seniors
Wheelbarrow.
always said see.
Ice cream cart, balloon, and welcome sign. And I'll be finishing up this case tomorrow.
Confirmed, Detective. We were blindsided.
I'm sorry, Miss Cabot. I didn't think it mattered. Everything matters. You jeopardized his trial.
Matthew, that box says cyanide on it. That's the poison that killed our victim.
Why didn't you tell us about the lawsuit here?
Do you think the killer might have left the box here? Perhaps clearing those gray particles off it could help us find out for certain. And if your hunch tells you to dig through the leaves in that wheelbarrow, by all means do so. But dig quickly, Matthew.
You would have received a monetary award.
If I won, my money would have gone to the animal shelter, and my rapist names would have gone to public records.
Very noted. I still don't see how we're going to prove that the dog was pretty ticket.
The civil attorney gets a corporation. What do you understand?
What have you got against me? I was raped.
Okay.
My brain was coming forward. See the lady over here? My lawyer. After accusing me of killing my father, he said, "Sit here, you won't give me the names." I said, "Yes, you know, I'm going to sue you." But what did I do wrong?
Cyanide for medical purposes only. I can tell what it says.
It's a day before I test your contact of the lawyer's sounds like one for murder.
Says some of a high-profile trial. Maybe in prison.
I read you learned your brain. You know about the civil suit that Clem had to have a copy of it. How does she know it exists? It's a
5.
So the green possible force tells him she's giving you.
Matthew, with the gray particles removed from the cyanide box, we can see that the cyanide was only for medical purposes. You're right. We know the killer poisoned the victim with their cyanide-based diabetes medication, and given this box is discarded here, it must be theirs. We must send the particles to Viola to learn more about the killer.
They fantasize. Also, autoeroticism is habit forming. If your victim frequently choked herself, where's her towel or silk scarf, something to keep the rope from chafing? It's vanity. No way to explain the ripple in the collar. Some women don't use a buckle, so they'll wear a turtleneck or scarf, something to hide the evidence.
Well, she was really looking to see evidence of a struggle. Maybe she'll lie.
Didn't take long for the victim to succumb to hypoxia. And the ropes were tied properly, so whoever staged this is a practicing murderer.
Well documented in the crime scene.
Sure.
Okay?
So the phone dump shows 2 calls, one to each.
Wine glass. Matthew, you found a wine glass hidden in the wheelbarrow? We know the victim died after drinking poisoned wine. If the killer discarded the glass here, they might have left clues on it. We must get the glass to Viola at once. This is 9 hours, so I will be getting the rest of the stars for now. And for now, this is Matthew. See you when these 2 are finished. Okay, everyone, let's just get the results of the gray particles and the wine glass, and let's put a killer behind bars. What a tangled web we weave when we practice to deceive. Viola, Matthew sent you gray particles from the killer's cyanide box, not woven webs. No, but weaving is relevant. You see, the gray fluff was lint from fine wool. It took some time to determine what sort of fabric it came from, but after thorough examination, I can tell you it's gray pinstripe. Lint from the gray pinstripe must have fallen onto the cyanide box from the killer's clothes. So the killer is dapper and dashing in gray pinstripe, are they? I can't wait to see what they'll look like in black and white stripes. Okay, and let's get the results of the wine glass 2. Viola, what can you tell us about the wine glass we found at the park? Was it the victim's glass dumped there by the killer? Yes, Matthew. This wine glass is indeed the very one that sealed the victim's fate. The victim's genetic material was on it, but hers wasn't alone. The killer left some of their own skin cells on the wine glass when they dumped it in the park. There wasn't much, but from these skin cells, I was able to determine that the killer has blue eyes. Well, the killer can cry their blue eyes out once Matthew puts them behind bars for good. They won't escape us now. Matthew, this is it. We have every piece of evidence we need to arrest Lissa Avery's killer. Let's do this. Let's see. Nope, not Malcolm Rochester. It's not Samson Drake. It's not Veronica Rochester. It was the mother, Gertrude Avery. I am not surprised. Gertrude Avery, you are under arrest for the murder of Lissa Avery, your own stepdaughter. What? I could never hurt Lissa. Then how do you explain the trace of your lobster lunch on the bottle of wine to which you added cyanide? I never, the very thought. Besides, most of the people at that luncheon ate lobster. That's as may be, but not everyone was wearing gray pinstripe. You left some of the cyanide box from which you drew the poison. Hogwash! Gray pinstripe is all the rage these days. But you can't hide behind your blue eyes. When you tried to dispose of the glass from which Lissa drank, you left some of your skin cells. Fine, I did kill Lissa. I never liked that brat. She was always my husband's pet, his dear daughter who could do no wrong. Lissa was getting all his fortune. After all those years I wasted caring for that man, now I had to live on what meager sum his brat gave me. I could only inherit if she died too. So you killed your stepdaughter for money? Believe me, I tried to act chummy at first in the hopes that she would become more generous, but it never worked. When I entered the experimental cyanide treatment program for my diabetes, I finally understood how I could get all those riches. I thought if I poisoned her at the awards luncheon, the police would suspect all those politicians, while I played the distraught mother, but then you ruined everything. Yes, the riches you kill for would do you no good in prison, Mrs. Avery. You're under arrest. Hey, Takakura's back. Oh my, I did not miss having to listen to miscreants all day in this courtroom. But here I am, dragged out of retirement to stand in for this whippersnapper of a deputy mayor. Might as well get to it. Gertrude Avery, you are accused before this court of murdering your stepdaughter through poisoning her wine. Yes, I did, but it was the only way to... to get at her inheritance. Yes, that old saw. The ends justify the means, etc. Enough. Given the premeditated and heinous nature of your crime, this court hereby sentences you to 25 years in prison. 25 years in prison? But then I'll never get to enjoy my wealth. Not too bad for you. My, Matthew. Money surely does drive some people mad enough to kill. And so it seems Senator Malcolm Rochester's assistant was killed for personal and not political reasons. But there are still questions to be answered about the senator himself and the political games his family are playing. We know the Rochesters are involved in something dark enough politically that they made their opponents disappear in Grim Chapel. I agree, Matthew. It's time to take a closer look at the Rochesters' political activities in Ivory Hill. Excuse me. As we take a look at the other ones, No News is Good News 1/6. But first, before we get to that, we're going to do that in another video. Taking a look at the other ones. Mayor Castletown, clear from the start again. Malcolm Rochester, no great pinstripe on him. Samson Drake, black eyes instead of blue. Veronica Rochester, cleared from the start. It was Gertrude Avery. I'll see you guys for No News is Good News 1/6. Okay, folks, we're back. Let's start No News is Good News 1/6. Matthew, we came to Ivory Hill to investigate the Rochesters' political dealings. And now that we know Senator Rochester's aide was killed for unrelated reasons, it's time to focus on the family. And we already know that the Rochesters were making political opponents disappear in Grim Chapel. Just what were they planning? Senator Rochester was the guest of honor at the awards luncheon. Perhaps you should look there for hints of his political aspirations. There's at least one thing in that regard that I must bring to your attention. Please, Senior Trooper Matthew, meet with me in a moment. I need your help with something. Well, Matthew, the Deputy Mayor wants to speak with you. After that, we can revisit the banquet hall. So, Takakura's been dragged out of retirement again. There we go, briefcase. Here we go. Not quite as spectacular as before, but that's okay. This briefcase has the initials MR on it. Surely that stands for Malcolm Rochester. Let's unlock the briefcase to see what the senator might be keeping inside. Okay. E7 in. 5D3. Q12. Matthew, the only thing in the senator's briefcase was his document folder. It says draft bill. This should clue us in on the senator's plans once Evie deciphers this legalese. Okay, let's see what Deputy Mayor Lawson wants. I'm wondering if Takakura is going to be there for the rest of this, or if there's going to be another judge. Senior Trooper Matthew, I have a serious problem. And that problem is Archie Rochester. What's Archie done now? The last time we saw him, he was making a nuisance of himself during your predecessor's murder investigation. Senator Malcolm Rochester foisted that son of his on me as his assistant. Archie Rochester is your assistant? What on earth? I am convinced that the Rochester family has pushed that little troublemaker into my office to spy on me because they know I am not fond of them. Archie claims he has a law degree, but I simply do not believe him, and I told him so to his face. If I am wrong, I will look like a fool. But, Senior Trooper Matthew, if I am right, then I have ample reason to remove him from my office. He claimed you could find proof of his law degree at the Senator's townhouse. I'm sure Senior Trooper Matthew will gladly join you in your quest at the Senator's townhouse, Deputy Mayor. I've got this. Ha! Bell. Dog and gramophone. This faded diploma appears to be from Geneva University. You're right, Geneva's in Switzerland, and that's where Archie was sent by his parents after the Mr. Alistair debacle. So could it be that this diploma is his, and he wasn't lying about having studied law? Let's dust it to see for sure. law degree awarded to Archibald Rochester. He does have a law degree. Botheration, Senior Trooper Matthew. It seems Archie Rochester really does have a law degree from a Geneva University. Am I truly stuck with him as my assistant now? But wait, he can't have been there long enough to obtain a real law degree. This diploma must be fake. I don't know, Senior Trooper Matthew, but if you think Mr. Diego De Lobo can ascertain the veracity of this degree, we must take it to him. And this is 6 hours, and I'll see you guys when both of these are finished. See y'all later. Okay, and we're back now. Let's get the results of the draft bill. Matthew, I am quite frankly livid after reading the first draft bill you found in Senator Rochester's briefcase. Why? What was it about? This bill by Senator Malcolm Rochester proposes a law that would end the free press as we know it. Wow. What do you mean by end the free press? Like no more newspapers? Oh, there'd be one newspaper, sanctioned by City Hall and Senator Rochester. One viewpoint. No more investigative journalism. The only information the people of Concordia would receive would be what the Rochesters want them to have. But that's not news, that's propaganda. Exactly, and Senator Rochester's behind it all. That's unacceptable. We must confront Senator Rochester at once. You're gonna notice that Evie actually folds her arms like Andrea Marquez back at Pacific Bay. So let's talk to Senator Rochester now. Senator Rochester, would you mind explaining this bill you're proposing to end the free press?
That's a deep three by Waller.
Oh, Senior Trooper Matthew, you've heard about that already, have you? It's quite simple, really. You see, a preponderance of opinions hasn't helped inform the populace at all. What so many journalists and articles and editorials have done is cause confusion and chaos. Your average Joe on the street gets all turned around. He doesn't know which end is up anymore. But when this bill becomes law, that won't be a problem anymore. Everyone will get their news from the same source. And this news will all be biased in favor of your family. You're just pushing this bill to get control of the press. My, don't you have an active imagination? I authored this bill for the betterment of all Concordians. Oh, Senior Trooper Matthew, perhaps a little snack of some sort would help you think about this more clearly. I don't see what's so funny about it. I like journalism. I actually would like to go into that field. I actually would like to go into that line of work, but I know I gotta make some calls. Ha! Betterment of all Concordians, my foot! Senator Rochester just wants to pass this law so the press becomes a Rochester mouthpiece. Evie just told me about the bill. Senator Rochester is proposing a bill to abolish the free press? This is an outrage! We must stop this bill from being passed. Definitely, but where do we start? Maybe we should talk to the mayor. The mayor is giving a speech at the park. Then he's leaving on a fishing cruise. We'll need to hurry if we want to catch him. Matthew, I'm coming to the park with you. Let's not lose a moment. Do I still have the mountain goat out? Yes, I do. But I still have a free ×6 combo to use. And I already see the clue.
Purchase. Good close out there by Gassett.
Okay, camera.
Now loses control of it.
Oh. So, xylophone. I do not see that yet.
6-minute mark in the first half. I'm going to finish there, but no Christian is so strong.
There we are.
Just his 8th appearance of the season. Remember, Illinois State shorthanded their top rebounder, Devon Mallory. Did not make the trip, dealing with an illness in his family. Foul command up front once again.
Well, Matthew, the speech must be over. The mayor is nowhere to be seen. But you're right, that does look like a fishing tackle box. It could be the mayor's. Let's search it to be sure.
Steptoe now to the free throw line.
I have a question for you.
Some more energy coming my way.
Larry Lewis Jr.
You see that I do have over 167,000 energy.
That's a good question. 6'3" junior, the transfer from Odessa College. He was getting
perfect.
To see something from him in the Pearl Harbor invitation.
Matthew, this fishing tackle box does belong to the mayor. His badge for a VIP fishing cruise was in it. And now we know which ship the cruise will use. This means you can find where it is docked, and the mayor won't be able to board the cruise without his badge. Let's find Mayor Castletown and talk to him about that Rochester bill to abolish the free press.
Just insert the checks or cash, the deposit slips or envelopes. Confirm the deposit and get a receipt to check.
And let's see what Castletown has to say. Senior Tripper Matthew, what can you possibly want? As you can see, I'm about to leave on a trip. Yes, we're aware of that. We found your special boarding badge. You may need it. Ah, thank you, Senior Tripper Matthew. If that's all, I'll be off. Before you go, are you aware of Senator Rochester's proposed bill to abolish the free press? Oh, that. Of course I'm aware. There's nothing wrong with that bill, is there? Nothing wrong? It would effectively commit homicide against the free press. Every word printed would be in favor of the Rochesters. You say that like it's a bad thing. Senator Rochester assured me that everything would be fair and balanced, and I believe him. He's trying to make life a little easier for me, unlike you constantly banging on about problems. Can I have a day off once in a while? I need a break, and that is final. The most I'm willing to do is provide extra funds to the flying squad, Senior Trooper Matthew. And now I'm leaving on my trip. Good day. Afraid he doesn't see the point.
Visit the Spanish Sheriff Center box office. 3 easy ways to get your seats for exciting UA sports action. Hope you enjoyed your Christmas holiday.
And let's talk to Diego about the diploma. Oh, Switzerland, Matthew. So many fond memories of clandestine excursions to bank vaults once all the guard dogs were napping. But this was not meant for the ears of present company. Ahem. Quite. I am not truly convinced that you are reformed, Mr. Delobo. Once a criminal, always a criminal, I say. But Matthew says that you are to be trusted, and you'll help your case by cutting to the chase. Was Archie Rochester's degree authentic? Oh, Matthew, my heart is as heavy as a hand to tell you what I must tell you about this diploma. I examined it for special watermarks and seals associated with Geneva University. And I can tell you that this diploma is perfectly real. It was an accelerated degree. For all his faults, the young Rochester is an intelligent person. Blast and double blast! Then I must go tell that pest that I accept his employment as my assistant. Senior Trooper Matthew, will you accompany me to my meeting with Archie Rochester? I would appreciate your moral support.
Allen still scoreless here tonight.
If you had an opportunity to give a little bit of advice to Noah Allen, because we all seen athletes go through that, right? And those of us who play.
Well, 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 if it isn't the deputy mayor crawling back to the office with his tail between his legs. Now you see my law degree is real. I have no choice but to say that you're hired as my assistant, but there's no need to be smug about it. Oh, but yes, I do need to be smug about it. You have held a grudge against my family for too long, but here we are now, forced to find a way to work together. When you look inside yourself, Deputy Mayor, you might find you're not as different from us Rochesters as you think. If you are insinuating that I can be bought, then... Oh my, no. Whatever gave you that idea? I simply mean that we might find... You will find me harder to manipulate than you think. Deputy Mayor, come now. You can trust me to be reliable. And please, Senior Trooper Matthew, take this gift as a token of my future cooperation. Cool top hat. Maybe I might wear that. I don't know.
To my mind,
that Archie Rochester makes my blood fairly well boil, Senior Trooper Matthew. I am stuck with that twerp as my assistant. I am certain that his family wants him to spy on my office. Deputy Mayor Lawson, you'll excuse me, but that's nothing compared to what Archie's father, Senator Rochester, intends to do to the free press. The bill he plans to sign into law would abolish all newspapers except one with news sanctioned by government. What? These Rochesters really are going too far. Too far in control of the press, and the mayor would do nothing to oppose them. Why, they would feed us nothing but their own propaganda. I cannot let this happen. Absolutely, Deputy Mayor. One must wonder exactly why they have to hide with this sudden move to control the press. Matthew, our next step is clear. We must get to the bottom of the Rochester's plans and stop them. And that will do.
as we get older, yes, we do. The older we get, the better we work. That's right. Wild shot there. We're seeing some very loosey-goosey offensive possessions from Delaware State. I'm not sure if they're throwing in the towel right now.
Two. And that's going to end the Machiavellian candidate. New case isn't open yet. Do have a local college basketball game on, but please disregard my background noise.
2 for 2 from the line before that attack.
When will this be open? November 2nd. That's Thursday. So, before we go, I got 12 sticker packs to open because I did Case 48 in Elite mode. I had to redo it because of my rookiness at Bandicam. 3 new ones.
Would you like to see him be even more? Absolutely. On this team, he needs to. He's got 14
Hard to believe I've done as much as I have been, and I still haven't managed to complete an album. 4 new ones coming. And I know I haven't done Pacific Bay and Save the World lately, but that's alright. I do not agree with the changes that criminal case people have done, but I've been able to live with the changes.
Which is why we're determined to
3 new ones. And I do plan to do some more cases in Elite mode, especially the Mysteries of the Past now. I got a couple rare ones. These new ones, yes they are. Both of them are new. In fact, I got a fresh 5 new ones. Two new ones here. 32 more until I get another sticker pack. Two new ones again. Okay.
These games were not in this building. They were on the island at Block Arena for the Pearl Harbor Classic invitation. So they have yet to leave the island. They will do so to kick off Big West Conference Challenge on the road January 5th against Ohio State Fullerton. So the question is,
Well, I've almost got I have almost completed some pages. I think my situation is I've kind of had a little bit of bad luck with stickers, but I can't really complain.
At least they have a chance to get their feet under them and get a few wins against great competition. But now they're going to go on the road and they're going to find out how tough they are emotionally, psychologically, and all other areas. Because you go on the road, everybody's against you except the 14 or 15 guys in your travel partner. Yeah, and your family that shows up. Oh, it's interesting as you saw in Jack's back. Everybody else in the Midwest.
There we go. Just a few more to check. And, as a matter of fact, before we know it, the next season will be on us. And we'll find out what will happen at the end of this. If we'll go back to reality, or if DuPont's book will continue.
We've gone up against some of the juggernauts.
And that will do. And I'll see you guys on November 2nd. Thank you all for watching.